Welcome to Urban Homestead Radio, preserving a homegrown way of life and inspiring others to bring the revolution home. Thanks to the support of our sponsor, Lehman's. For over 60 years, they have provided practical, non-electrical tools, appliances, and home goods. When technology fails, their products will certainly work. Check out their website at lehmans.com. That's LEHMANS.com.
Let's go down to the Urban Homestead, Pasadena by the freeway.
Hi homesteaders, I'm your host Anais Dervaes from the Urban Homestead in Pasadena. I hope everyone had a safe and blessed Thanksgiving. We certainly did. We spent it a quiet one with our family and one other friend who we've been sort of quarantined with. We have quarantine pod, whatever people are calling them these days. So, which was nice. We were able to spend it and enjoy some good fellowship and some good food. On the food front, everybody was my friend's first time cooking a turkey, which because of quarantine, family wasn't allowed to come in. So that was a first for her, and she was very proud of herself. And so that was nice to see somebody try something and succeed. And I brought some, like a couple things from the garden. I made we call fall salad. So it was freshly gathered greens, baby greens that we have, which are really amazing. And I topped it with some pomegranates, seeds, and sliced fuyu persimmons, which give it a nice little crunch. And we put some edible flowers, which made it really pretty, and then served it with a honey mustard dressing. So that was pretty amazing. And the honey mustard dressing I found on many years ago, I think it was Moosewood cookbook or whatever, restaurant cookbook, and it's been a fall favorite of our family. And I'll share the recipe at the end of this podcast, so hopefully you listen to the end, and I'll share it. It's a very simple and easy recipe. So wow, there's a lot to be grateful for, with all these crazy things that are going on, crazy times. And there's a lot of homestead happening. So without further ado, we're going to try to get you caught up on what's been happening at the homestead and what's been going on. So I guess I'll first start off with some, barnyard developments. Drama developments. Drama is like soap opera, So if you're following some of the happenings back in September, we got some new baby ducks in the mail from Metzer Farms, and that was, we bought sexed females, which we pay, of course. If you've bought from hatcheries before, you know that there are three options. You can get male ducks, female ducks, and unsexed ducks, straight with aka straight run. So of course straight run are cheaper, but then 50-50. Yeah, you're gonna put a coin toss of what you're gonna get. So we the last 4 times we've ordered from Metzer, we've all ordered female ducks, and we ordered khaki camels and Welsh harlequins again. And so as you know, we named them. I think if you guys remember what I named them, one was on the khaki camel side, one was Kiwi, and one was Hazel, and on the Welsh harlequin side, we had 2, and one we named Cleo or Cleopatra and Lady Gaga. So those were their names. And about 2 weeks ago, I noticed one of the khaki camels, who was Hazel, sounding like she had a frog in her throat. And I was like, that doesn't sound, I was like, did she scratch her throat? That's kind of weird, because other ones, all the other ducks are quack, 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 quack. It's like vaudeville, vaudeville laugh track sometimes. So I was like, okay, maybe she scratched her throat. Something told me this is not right. So I did not go away, and then it kept getting worse. And so worse as in like deeper and more froggy, like, and I was like, oh no. So I was, and I think
checked on them every day.
I checked on them every day, and I was like, this is.
The coloring of the feathers started changing.
Her coloring of the feathers started changing. Her head started getting green, and the wing feathers started getting green. So all y'all know who raise animals, and ducks especially, that ain't no female. That's a male drake. So Hazel, unfortunately, is a Henry, or the male form of whatever Hazel is. But yeah, so that's a little bit disappointing. And that's, like I said, the first time we've had that happen to us, where we've ordered female ducks and so that was quite interesting that we paid for them being sexed and didn't seem to work out this time. So anyhow, I know that people are like, oh, well, what's the big deal? It's a drake. If you've raised ducks before, definitely drakes are quieter, because like I said, they sound like they have a frog in their throat, where the females are very vocal. And that's true. So, and you say, okay, well, why not keep him? Well, we've tried keeping a drake before, and he just really upset the balance of the hens. They would get worked up, and he'd pick a favorite or not, or he'd pick
on somebody.
Yeah, pick on one of the hens, and then he'd do his shenanigans, and the hens would sort of gather around and quack play-by-play of his mating shenanigans, and it was just quite loud and quite vocal. So, not that we don't want to keep him, we just feel that it's best for our small flock to not have a drake. So he will go to the desert and join the other hens. So he will definitely have a harem down and have hen of harems down in Joshua Tree. So I don't feel too sad for him. So, but I do feel sad for Kiwi, because like I said, she was one of the two Khaki Campbell. So, but she'll survive, because on another note, over the weekend, I got a call from a family who was unable to keep these two ducks. So they had rescued them. Their daughters, I think they were kind of talking a lot. So I'm trying to piece it together, but they went to visit a farm. He has two daughters. They saw these two baby ducks that were being like picked on or something. I can't exactly remember what happened, but anyhow, they brought them home and raised them. But they're getting a little bit too much, because they have two dogs, and the ducks, of course, are messy. So I, of course, am a sucker, and I said, yes, sure, we'll take them in. And so now we have two more ducks, and one's a buff Orpington, if you're familiar with that. She's a beautiful sort of, I don't know, just like a creamy blonde duck, and then one's a black Indian runner. So yeah, they have names. So the buff Orpington is Penny, and the black Indian runner is Billy. So we now have two more ducks to add to our flock. So it's happy ending. It's happy ending here. Yeah. So there's always going to be, in the end, the ins and changes and things like that. But I'm happy to say I was and not only that, also I not only took in two ducks, but I also took in another hen, black Marin named Coco, who was getting a little aggressive at a friend of mine. She loves her chickens, and Coco was apparently getting aggressive with some of the hens in her flock, and so she was a little worried, and so she was like, would you take Coco in? I was like, sure. And of course I get the anxiety of, oh, okay, I have all this, I have this chicken to integrate, and now these two ducks to integrate, and I get anxious about integrating the flock with new ones, because it could be pretty nasty sometimes if it goes south. So far so good. I have to say that the integration with the new chickens and the new ducks have gone without any problems. Of course, there was a little bit of pecking here and there, small skirmishes and things like that, but no real issue. So so that's all in all. You can hear them maybe going to roost and going to bed. It's about it's getting sundown right now, so you can hear them maybe in the background going off to bed, quacking off to bed. But yeah, so
a little excitement on the barnyard.
Yeah, there's always some. That's our backyard barnyard soap opera drama for the season right now.
Breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. Hazel is Henry. So she's a drake. No, so it's all good. But for those of you who are wondering, how to keep their flocks healthy in winter, we're always there's some tips and tricks on that. Adding apple cider vinegar into their water, boosting their minerals. Definitely have dry dirt on hand so they can have sand or dry dirt for their dust bath to keep away mites and things like that. And then we sprinkle with diatomaceous earth, which also helps with that. And you want to have an ample protein source for them. So we have black soldier fly, dry black soldier flies, which they love, larvae. So so those are some of the tricks or tips that we use to keeping our flocks healthy in winter. So, and with that, let's see what here. I have my brother Justin. He's the head farmer here at the Urban Homestead, in charge of managing the urban farm and the farm box program. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on. Like I said, it's second week in December, so we're putting some of the garden and parts to bed. So tell us a little what's going on in the garden. There's a
little bit of excitement for farm boxes on Thanksgiving.
So what was that excitement?
Because usually we have pickup on Wednesday and Thursday, and due to Thanksgiving, we shut down for Thursday, so we had to do 150 boxes in one day.
Oh, okay, wait, back up a little bit, because you were hyperventilating.
At the start of the week, it was 200
boxes. You were just
boxes.
Like 200 boxes. Yeah. If people don't put their box, 50 put their boxes on hold.
So, yeah, I was sort of having a semi-meltdown trying to figure out.
I have a meltdown Monday. You had your meltdown Monday.
Fridays, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. But it was it worked out. We had a lot of hands on deck. We're running out of space to put everything, but we were able to pull it off, and it went surprisingly without a hitch, and almost everybody picked up, I think.
Yeah, so it was good. So that was one of those ones. Instead of Wednesday and Thursday pickup, we had to do it all on Wednesday. So that was quite interesting. Exciting. And luckily, and I mean to say, funny thing, I was going to talk about that, how it's been dry and luckily, like I said, it didn't rain, so that would have been interesting. But it has been a dry and cold year, which is concerning for us. Why is it? You want to tell Justin why is that?
I think they said it was a La Nina year, and this means drier than normal. Mm-hmm. Some people say that doesn't necessarily mean a typical La Nina. Could be a wet La Nina.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees in farming or weather.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to get some rain. It's been roller coaster ride with the temperature, and we go up to 80 or 90 and then down to freezing. I think we talked about that last week around Halloween. And then this week, or this past Friday, the forecast said 46 degrees in Pasadena, and my sister goes out and picks some grains for the animals, and she said, hey, there's ice everywhere. And I'm like, this is really weird, because usually it's 10 degrees colder. We talked about that before. Mm-hmm. And this time it was 15 degrees colder in our backyard. Now, I think it had something to do with the Santa Ana winds or some sort of humidity or how dry it was. But it did throw... The good news is the row covers were up. So I hopefully didn't lose much, anything under there. But it did surprise me that we were all 15 degrees different than they forecasted.
Yeah, because you were just like, we're good. And then
remember we were joking, he said, wake up, it's really cold that morning, and then I saw the temperature gauge on the side of the house, and it said 40, and I said, oh boy, if it's 40 on the side of the house, then it's definitely colder on the rest of the yard. So it was sort of spooked me a little bit, but so far I don't think it ruined much of anything. But.
So like I said, that one lesson that as urban farmers know, or farmers know, you have microclimates. No matter where you are, and if the temperature says something, guaranteed your yard is going to have maybe dozen microclimates. So you have to be aware of that.
The sun angel changes with the neighbor's trees, with the house, the shade, certain parts of the yard. We had to take down our beautiful Trumbacino squash that was on the north side of the house that was getting kind of ratty and mildew and cold, and so we took that down, harvested a couple 100 pounds of that, and it climbed halfway up the house roof, so we want to pull that down. And it was a pretty good year for Trumbacino. Everybody likes, gets a good...
So what's so great about Trumbacino? I know if you haven't tuned in before, and when you're saying, what the heck is Trumbacino squash? It sounds like a trombone squash. Yes, it's
Italian heirloom squash. It looks like a trombone.
Why do we like it?
When it's green, you can use it like zucchini. When it's dry, it looks and stores and uses like a butternut. And also you can sell the flowers, so it's like a 3-for-1 squash. While zucchini, if you miss zucchini, it gets jumbo and you can't really use it. But if you miss the Trumbacino, they'll store for a year. I remember about 10 years ago, we grew 3 of them. They were 6 feet 5. They're in some books with Jimmy Dury and some new Facebook posts. They average about 3 to 4 feet. If you trellis them, they grow straight, long and straight. If they're not on trellises, they sort of grow round and make cute little necklaces, or the kids joke with putting around their neck and stuff like that. So it's one of our favorite squashes. It's also mildew resistant.
Quite a conversation piece.
Yes.
There's
lots of discussions. We had a council member stop by, and he was taken with them, and then they came back for some more. And it's definitely a showstopper. And unfortunately, we didn't have any tours because of COVID. It had been nice to people would have been.
Walk through the what do they call it? The
hanging.
What do they call it? What do caves have?
Stalagmites.
Yeah, that's what it said. Yeah.
But it's every once in a while you hit your head on them and get a concussion. But so it was.
Watch your head.
It's always a good conversation piece, and mildew resistant. It grows on a trellis up over basically a wasted space. It grows along the fence line. Hangs over the neighbor's yard. We go over there and pick that.
Like I said, it is a squash worth investing in if you want bang for your buck or whatever. It's like I said, grows in trellising and can shade really fast, and it's one of our favorites here at the homestead. So look it up if you haven't. And like I said, if we were talking about the dry season, what is our season for rain?
December, January, February is our biggest weather month.
Yeah, so if we don't get it now,
we can get as late as April and a couple sprinkles, but measurable rain if we don't get it the next few months. It's gonna be.
So it is concerningly dry, and so
there's
we're
fires still burning.
Yeah, there was fires just last week, so we're a little worried about that. So we're definitely praying for rain because we're definitely going to need it. So it's going to be a hot and dry summer for sure, and a scary summer with the fires. So what are you planning in your raised beds and harvesting?
So last week for the Farm Box program, we harvested a bunch of radishes. So we had some rainbow Easter egg ones that the volunteers had planted a couple weeks ago. We had some long white, sort of daikon-ish radish, and then some red long ones. And surprisingly, didn't really take care of them, but they looked pretty good when I pulled them up. It got a little distracted. What happens is we put compost in there, and some other volunteers grow and sort of crowded out some of the radishes. But I was able to get a nice, decent harvest out of that. Hopefully, another couple this week with the Farm Box program. Salad mix is always popular. Its hardest part is keeping it staggered. Broccolini did very well. The broccoli rabe is driving me crazy because it's like 2 feet tall and it's not ready to pick, so it's overwhelming, the beds and the pathway. So it's actually growing really robust. Yeah, really big. And not producing any of the heads. So we use it in a saute mix for the greens, and there's a tiny little head down there, so maybe I planted it too early, or maybe the soil's too good, but yeah, it's growing too well in a small area. But yeah, that's what the challenge is. I don't think people are aware. There's gardening for gardening, hobby, and you have a couple raised beds and that's a garden. But when they say, you have a urban farm or I have a farm, farming is a whole different concept. It's succession planning. It's picking, packing, and it's a whole different. Even microclimates. The more acres you got, the less microclimates. Because I remember talking to a couple of friends who have 10, 20 acres, and there's no shade in the whole. The sun really angles doesn't really change. There's some pockets, cold pockets, but here the neighbor's trees, the house, even the squash was shading the bed because the sun angle had changed, so we had to take that down. So urban farming is quite challenging in a small space. It is. So. Not to mention the business side of COVID. Yeah. So speaking of the business side and shut down, as maybe if you've listened to our podcasts in previous past around fall time, we talk about this time where we take stock in the yard, especially the front yard where it's more edible landscaped, and we reevaluate. What grew well, what didn't grow well. However, with this scenario, we're not actually sure what we're going to plant. Yeah, we might have brought it up a little bit, but we've been selling to this one caterer local Pasadena establishment, well known. We knew the owner from way back. We've been selling to her for 25 years, and due to COVID, they shut down 8 months ago, and we would grow specialty herbs
and garnishes yeah.
just for them. Red vein sorrel.
Oh, and edible flowers.
Mm-hmm. Red vein sorrel, nasturtium, African blue basil, lion's tail, and these all toothache plant, and all these weird exotic garnishes that they would buy thousands of pieces and thousands of dollars a year, even a month. And now, after 8 months, and the lavender and the blue basil is all beautiful and loaded with flowers, but yes, the farm box people buy a couple bunches here, a couple bunches there. But
the cash crop.
The cash crop, where we would sell it by 25 cents each for a garnish, is no longer there. So the question is,
what to plant? And
do we keep it? Do we plant something else? The annuals not too worried about, because it's like, oh, we have to replant them anyways. But these perennials, they're beautiful, they're productive, they are drought tolerant.
What we call return on investment.
But the return on investment the last 8 months has been
ROI. Is this?
So when we used to do the tours a couple months ago, it's like all this stuff was profitable and saleable and marketable, and then all the caterers and country clubs and private chefs were shut down. So it's like, now what do we do with it?
Yeah.
So that's a
definitely
challenge.
Have some hard choices.
Yeah.
We're gonna. We usually take some time off from the farm boxes between Christmas and New Year. So
well, that's for Dad's. This would be Dad's 4-year anniversary of his passing in December. So to recharge, it also coincides with Christmas and New Year's. So we take a little bit of time off, try to
and powwow as a family and figure out what's the future. What's 2021 going to be? I know we don't know, but we're gonna try. I mean, we have to figure out some things. That's the thing. Is the hard decisions. It's like should things stay or should it go? And that's going to be tough because you're not going to know. You're going to have to take it. It's a crapshoot. So we're gonna.
But I mean, we were talking about just when you didn't do anything wrong. It's nobody's fault, and you lose a customer that you've had for 25 years, and it hurts.
Yeah.
We lost 80% of our revenue stream to COVID. Unfortunately, the farm boxes picked up, but there's a lot of work, and we're grateful for the farms that help us do that.
And we're grateful to customers too, so that support. So
every week could come and get the boxes.
So we are, like I said, this is time to count your blessings. So we definitely have to, count what we do have, and we're grateful for. So anything else in the garden front that you like? I guess what are you planting? You're just continuing planting stuff.
We got some really nice green onions, very popular sales on the farm boxes. We talked about last time the pea shoots, not so much, so we didn't grow as much. Salad mix is always popular. Kale, cannot grow enough kale. No matter if we turn the whole yard over in kale. Not that I want to do that, but so we alternate farms with the kale. With some really nice looking lettuce.
Yeah, it's really looking good. I think Sanjay, as we talked about before, Sanjay has been really on top of the compost, and I mean, managing the compost, there's some serious soil coming out of the backyard now.
Yeah, and the beds are topped off, and we're running out of space to put it, so we'll have to figure that one out. But slowly but surely we get into the four corners of the yard. There's still 1 or 2 areas that I haven't touched, and hopefully during the break or I can able to get on top of things. But we're harvesting Jerusalem artichokes, sunchokes. They grew all summer, and now we have to dig them up. So dig to order for farm boxes, so maybe sell 10 pounds a week.
Yeah,
so it's like a treasure hunt, trying to dig up these things. And last year one plant produced 40 pounds. This year I didn't get just so much, but they might have been planted too close together. Well, not planted, sorry, none of them are actually planted. They volunteer from the last year, the ones I missed. So it's kind of hard to remember once you cut them down. It's like, where are they at? Because they're scattered all through the yard. So they're pretty cool, drought tolerant, and you could sprinkle them in wet waste areas.
Yeah. So what some tips and for, I guess what you said, well, now I would say fall garden, but now we're going into winter. So what are some your favorite tips or tricks for a fall/winter garden?
Row covers definitely help with the temperature and the cold. So we invested in another batch of them. They could add maybe 5 to 10 degrees, put wire and some wire hoops over there and some row covers. So they help with the shorter days and the cooler temperatures. I plant the plants a little bit farther apart because there's not as much daylight, and they don't need as much.
You need more air.
More air. So I lost a couple to shade or rot because
too close
together, or the shade of the squash shaded them, and too much water. So it's always tweaking. It's always tweaking things. The arugula did really well. It got 3 or 4 harvests off of one bed, and then we turned it over and I planted salad mix. We do have these little grubs that are eating Swiss chard. It's very hard to get Swiss chard without holes in it, so try some BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, caterpillar killer on those. So just hopefully one application will control them, but I usually don't spray anything.
You usually try not to do that. So on anything.
What else we got? Leeks. We're growing new leeks.
Are you doing
leeks.
garlic? Please? No. I know.
Garlic is it takes so long.
Yeah.
Garlic. We can do green garlic.
Maybe,
But no.
I know.
No garlic. Got a lot of green onions. Got a lot of got some shallots. Got some purple onions.
Yeah.
Some green leeks. But I think it's trying to figure out what we could supply or grow to supply the farm boxes, and we're talking about the herbs.
Yeah, so I saw you planting today. You're planting more herbs, so that's good. So speaking of herbs, we're coming to the end of our podcast interview. I did say I was going to share a recipe. It doesn't have herbs, but it does have honey. But it's called the honey mustard vinaigrette from the Moosewood restaurant cookbook. And it's very simple, and like I said, our family loves it. So it's 1/3 of a cup of apple cider vinegar, 1/3 of a cup of Dijon mustard, 1/3 of a cup of honey. You mix all those, the mustard and the vinegar, and you start drizzling the honey in. So you want all that blended before you add the oil. And then you would add about a cup of vegetable oil, and then you blend that and add salt to taste, and that's it. And like I said, it's really good, especially with the salad greens with the arugula and the red mustards and the freckled lettuce and the pomegranates. It's just so good. So hopefully you can enjoy that with your fall salad.
What about the sweet
winter.
potatoes? You didn't get to that one?
Oh, the sweet potatoes. Oh, yeah. So for the sweet potatoes I did for the Thanksgiving, I was vegan, so I mashed up the cooked and then mashed the sweet potatoes. And being vegan, I just had a little bit of coconut milk, but on top, which is a favorite of people, is taking roasted pecans and then some butter, some maple syrup, and some cayenne pepper. So it gives it a little sweet. And
did you put some pomegranates on top?
Oh yeah, and then pomegranates on top of that. So that is another winner. So that's something else you can enjoy, and that's vegan. Well, if you didn't do butter, but you can find an alternative. So I know fall is. I like fall because it's just things to eat stuff like pumpkin and spices and cinnamon and all that good stuff. So.
It's still cold in the morning, though.
It's still cold.
California cold.
It's still cold. Yeah, it is a mite cold. So, what I'm doing for the cold in the morning and boosting up immunity is another little, I guess, homestead hack for me. Is we're getting farming. Getting old. It's like, I feel that you're not getting up so fast, and everything is like, it's like a little
WD-40.
Yeah, WD-40 in the joints. So, in the wintertime, I like to add turmeric to my coffee. So they call it AKA golden coffee, but a little bit of turmeric. It's not only immune and energy boosting, but it reduces inflammation, helps digestion, and especially with our super rich holiday foods and winter beginning, with cold and flu season and of course COVID season. And it tastes really amazing. You just need a little bit, and I find that when I eat, because I have a sensitive stomach too, it reduces my stomach inflammation, and I seem to lose a little bit weight. People are like, oh, you lost some weight, and I was like, haven't done anything, and I was like, oh, it must be the turmeric. So that's another little tip from the homestead to try on these
Then you also
cold
made
winter mornings.
rustic split pea soup.
Oh yeah, that's another favorite, rustic split pea
Stay tuned
soup.
for the next episode for the recipes.
For that. Oh, so much going on, but I still can't get used to it being dark at like 5, and it feels like midnight at 8, and but we're getting.
We turned on our gas heater this morning, so that's how cold it was for 45 degrees.
Well, it's definitely a time of transition. It's a time for, with winter, it's hibernation. It's time to just, go inside and, go inward and figure out what's the new year's going to bring. And the pandemic has certainly changed all of our lives with mass shutdowns and sadly people losing their family members and jobs. And so it's been one thing after another. And as we, get into the final month of this year, a classic country song came to mind, where Merle Haggard's song says, if we make it through December, everything's going to be all right. So till next time, be safe, be strong, and everything will be all right.
Bye.
Let's go down to the Urban Homestead, Pasadena by the freeway, right down there on the Urban Homestead.
We love to hear your feedback or questions. Visit us at urbanhomestead.org to check out what's happening on the homestead. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And until next time, keep on growing.